We've got 4 SEC teams in playoff action this weekend. Who will advance out of the first round? Time to get the squad together.
You're talking ball with the SEC squad. From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skins are prohibited. Squad up, you're part of the SEC squad.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the SEC squad. Sit back, grab your favorite beverage as you join us as we get you ready for a playoff week. Talking all things SEC. Sorry, those other poor conferences, you don't have as many teams as we have in the playoff. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Let's welcome in our panel this week. We've got Jay Smith from Locked On Sooners. We've got Stephen Willis, Locked On Ole Miss. We got Luke Robinson from Locked On Bama. And we figured one guy wasn't enough talking Sooners. We brought in John Williams, also from Locked On Sooners. Gentlemen, welcome in. It is playoff week. We are just, it is almost upon us. Friday night, we'll be here. We will have Alabama at Oklahoma. Jay, Luke, John, I'll just open it up. What's the vibe right now? How are you feeling? Sounds like Alabama's getting a little bit healthy here.
The home team goes first.
Well, I appreciate that, Luke, because not everybody actually follows it. I am the exact same way. I always allow the home team to play, to talk first. But both teams seem to be getting a lot healthier. The good thing about the playoffs is they do the availability reports this year. It's the first time that they're doing it. They basically adopted what the SEC, the Big 12, Big 10, all of them are doing right now. So the Tuesday night report dropped, and it does look like Bama's getting a lot healthier. Same thing with Oklahoma. Now, the one player that Oklahoma was hoping would go out there and play a little bit is the closer, our Mason Thomas. He was not listed at all. And I actually got to see a little bit of practice footage because similar to Alabama at Oklahoma, the beat writers and the beat got a chance to actually watch practice. And they put out a little footage of our Mason going around in the drills and looking like his old self. So pretty excited that we're going to get our best pass rusher back for a game that's super critical. But yeah, both teams look like they're getting healthy, and the vibes are very high in Norman right now.
Yeah.
Well, I say, Alabama's, it's hard to say right now. I think everybody's waiting to make sure we're healthy. I mean, I can tell you right now, and some of our listeners at Locked On Bama said, you need to quit saying this because he's not on the availability report. But Ty Simpson's beat up. I just know this. And he's not 100%. And you could make the argument, who is 100% at this time of the year? But you need your quarterback to be as close to 100% as possible. And he's not. That's okay. I think he can still work through that. We need Josh Cuevas back. He was the leading receiver in the last time that these two teams met. It looks like Jam Miller's going to be back. Cam Dewberry will be back. A lot of positives in terms of injuries. Kelby Collins even coming back, who didn't play against Georgia. Dijon Lee went out against Georgia. So did Justin Jefferson and one other defensive back whose name escapes me right now. But, man, it was just like Alabama kept – Xavier Brown. Dudes kept going out of the Georgia game. We already went into it banged up, and then Georgia banged us up even more. So we've needed this off week really, really badly. And, I mean, that's really all it is because you got 2 weeks, right? At least Alabama did. Oklahoma got 3 weeks. Another drawback to playing in the SEC championship, by the way. But, something really cool I didn't know. You two guys over at Oklahoma may have known this. Jimmy and I were on Locked On Bama talking about how our Mason Thomas will be back. And I said, I wonder what the R stands for. It's got to be Richard. And then Jimmy said, it'd be so cool if it were just R. And I said, well, it'd be kind of even cooler if it was like ARR, like a pirate or something. Turns out it is just R. That's a family tradition. That is nuts. I was like, that's awesome. So freaking cool. You know how cool you have to have one letter? It's just below having a symbol as your name.
Right. Or just getting called by your first name. Like, I love I think it was the Body Armor commercial, one of those two. But Serena was on there and they said, you've made it when you're just just a name, just one name and that's it. And that's, with that R, that is actually pretty dope for people to understand the lore about our Mason Thomas and his family. They always have somebody with a one-letter name.
And real quick, the injury report that we're referring to, Josh Cuevas was listed as questionable, so at least that's a little bit better from where he was. But Jam Miller was not on it at all, so that's good that he was back at practice on Tuesday for Alabama. And to your point, R. Mason Thomas was not on it, and that's huge. We already knew Gentry Williams was going to be out, the defensive back. That was announced last week. But again, two of the biggest players that could kind of help swing this thing one way or another. If Jam Miller's running for Alabama and they have a consistent run game, that helps them. And obviously, R. Mason Thomas is a home wrecker back there, John.
Yeah, I mean, he only played one half of one quarter in the month of November in which Oklahoma went 4-0. And that was the first half of the first quarter against Tennessee. He picked up a fumble, rumbled 70-plus yards for a touchdown, pulled his quad, saved Oklahoma's season. And Oklahoma still went 4-0 without him. Now you get arguably your best player back, a guy who's been an All-American on so many different lists in the postseason awards. Huge, man. And for an offensive line that already had a little bit of trouble defending or blocking Oklahoma's defensive front and their blitz packages and things like that, this is just another toy for Brent Venables to play with. They've been getting by with guys like Taylor Wines stepping up and PJ Adebawore stepping up and Marvin Jones Jr. and Danny Okoye. But when you get a guy like R. Mason Thomas, who's going to be a top 50 pick in the NFL draft in April, that's a game changer. But getting Jam Miller back is a game changer for Alabama because they were struggling to block Oklahoma when they were throwing blitzes at Ty Simpson because the running backs were just struggling in pass protection. Jam Miller's a veteran. He's going to be a little bit better. It's going to provide Ty Simpson just a little bit more time. But if Ty Simpson's not 100%, that's tough. But football players go play football. And whether he's 100% or not, you're not going to keep him out of this game because he's a leader of your offense and he's going to give you a better chance to win than maybe anybody else you have on the roster at this point, even if he's just 80%. But you got to have that guy out there. How healthy is he going to be? What's his ability down the field going to look like? How much is Kalen DeBoer going to open up the offense against Oklahoma's defense? Are they going to try to push the ball down the field? Or are they going to try to live in the short game and try and let guys like Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard make people miss and so that Ty's not having to hold on to the ball for so long and take a lot of hits? That's going to be something I'm going to be looking forward to watching early in this game because you expose him to a physical pass rush and he may not make the game.
Yeah, I kind of take his health similar to kind of like Mateer's, right? The thumb situation we've known about. Brent Venables mentioned he had a knee deal before the Tennessee game, and it was never really talked about, but you never saw him on an injury report. It was one of those, they're going to play because they're the quarterback. They're going to make it happen. No need to put him on an injury report because there's never a moment in doubt of him actually playing. But I'm curious, as you have mentioned, Luke, really, how healthy is he? And if a situation happens where he's sacked and he comes out, how confident is Bama with like Keelan Russell going in or something like that?
I'll say this. First of all, Jam Miller did play in the first game. He just didn't play well. I mean, he had 9 carries, 27 yards. He sort of didn't look great in the pass protection either, which was sort of his forte.
He seemed like he was banged up.
For being there. Huh?
I said he seemed like he was banged up in that game.
Yeah, he was a little. I mean, look, he's sort of been banged up for a while, and hopefully he did get some rest. LT Overton will probably be out again, I assume, and which is another problem. But going back to Ty Simpson, so would they be scared to put somebody else in instead of him? I don't think so. Look, last year against Oklahoma, you didn't. My feeling, and this is just a theory. Or a feeling of a theory that they didn't want to take Jalen Milroe out because they felt like that could be a disruption to the locker room. And, they still at the time still did have a shot to make the playoffs. So why not just see what you can do and try and work through this? This year, I think it's sort of, hey, look, we know Ty's a little banged up. The world may not know he's a little banged up, but we have 2 guys that are pretty capable. Austin Mack, when he's come in again against either terrible or very late competition again in a good game, he's looked really good. So is Keelan Russell. They hadn't gotten a lot of opportunities, and playing at Norman at night in the first playoff game of the season is a different animal, of course. But I think if things got a little desperate and it was obvious himself, I think that they would not hesitate to make a change this particular year. Yeah, last year I understood it, circumstances different, but if it got bad enough, I don't think they'd hesitate.
This is the easiest game in the world to me to look at. If Alabama can be in 3rd and 5 or less, they're going to be successful. You don't want to be in 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, especially with a potentially banged up quarterback going on against that Oklahoma pass rush. But if you can get those manageable 3rd downs, you have a chance to be very successful. And that, to me, tells me Alabama needs to run for 75 to 125 yards in this game. That's the assignment for Alabama moving forward. That'll help Ty Simpson. That'll help the offense. And if they can play clean and not turn the ball over, which was the story last time, they should be all right then. But if they can't run the football, if they do what they did against Georgia, if that same thing appears, Oklahoma's going to win this game.
I think this. Look, the last 2 times these 2 teams have played, Alabama's had 6 turnovers, Oklahoma's had 1. The other aspect, this game this year, look, Oklahoma's defense was great. I know R. Mason Thomas wasn't there. The defense did look great, and they did their job. I mean, they got a pick 6. They got 2 other turnovers, or at least one of them came on special teams. You said R. Mason Thomas is the best player. Jimmy and I both believe your kicker may be the best player because that guy is just automatic.
100%.
That's he's
unbelievable. And meanwhile, Alabama, you don't know what you're going to get. It's sort of reach in. It's a grab bag. You don't know. I mean, are you going to get a guy who can make a 52-yarder? You're going to get a guy who will miss a 27-yarder. You're not sure week to week. So I think that's going to be a thing. Look, if Alabama will either play well enough on special teams that you don't notice them or not turn the ball over 3 times to Oklahoma's none, if they'll do one of those 2 things, I think they have a good shot at winning. Because I do think Alabama's offense is certainly more proficient. And I think Alabama's defense, while not as good as Oklahoma's, I have no problem saying Oklahoma's got the best defense in the conference. I think Alabama's in the conversation for number 2. Maybe if you want to say they're number 3, fine. But the defense has played really well. Georgia notwithstanding to a degree, but even Georgia offensively, you look at the stats, it wasn't like this huge gap between what Alabama did and Georgia did. I think one of those times, again, Alabama's offense had the turnover and downs in the red zone against Georgia that led to an easy touchdown, just like when Alabama had a fumble on a punt return and gave up a huge punt return on the first drive. Mm-hmm. And that set up Oklahoma for an easy score just right off the bat.
Real quick, guys, we'll go around the horn and make picks in this one, but I want to pass this on. I saw Blake Byler tweeted this out. Wild stat. Only one time in school history has Alabama lost to the same team twice in the same season. It seems crazy. I can't imagine that this is true, but it came in 1893. Alabama lost 2 games to the Birmingham Athletic Club in the program's second year of varsity football.
God, I hate the Birmingham Athletic Club, man. You talk. I just hate them. That is stuck in my craw since 1893.
Yep. You don't mess with back. You don't mess with back.
So look, it's hard to beat them twice. I think you've had a couple teams, maybe Georgia once or twice, where they played
LSU,
in the SEC championship game and things like that. But it's history speaks for itself. So real quick, guys, we'll go around the horn. Jay, we'll start with you. About 30 seconds. Give me who wins and why.
I'm going with Oklahoma. I think defense prevails. It's going to be a very low-scoring game. I don't know about turnovers, but I think Oklahoma does just enough with special teams to close it out. Very low-scoring game. Give me Oklahoma by a field goal.
Steven?
I think Oklahoma as well. Go with the home team in this situation. I don't think Alabama is going to be very successful running the football, which is going to be a problem for them.
John?
Yeah, I'm going with Oklahoma. Alabama's offense just isn't the same offense when they're on the road than when they've been at home. They average 15 points per game less. They average 122 total yards per game less than they do when they're at home, or a little over 100 total yards per game less. It's a different team. This is going to be an electric environment. The defense is going to play out of its mind.
Luke?
All right, I'll be the lone wolf. I'll take Alabama. Like Jimmy said, it's the race to 23 points. And I think Alabama has a better shot offensively of scoring 23 points. If they do have another pick six or a scoop and score or a special teams snafu, then Oklahoma probably is going to win this thing. But like I said, if they will just play average on special teams or not have 3 turnovers or more, I feel like Alabama wins. I feel like they're the better offense.
Yeah, this is one that my brain just keeps telling me it's Oklahoma. That crowd in Norman, it's going to be electric. They're going to be loud and all this, but sometimes sports doesn't make sense. Alabama could come out, go right down the field, score 7 points. You go, oh, where'd that come from? And, it could be all Alabama. So I'm probably going to stick with Oklahoma as my pick, but Luke, I think is look. There's a great reasoning to be had there. That first one to 23 points will win the game. So
I mean, I'll say this, and I think Jay would agree. Like, we both can see a scenario in which Alabama wins. Like, there's no lock at all.
Zero. I think it's.
Well, I mean, it's a 1.5 point spread. Yeah. Oklahoma or Alabama, and it's been fluctuating the whole time.
Flip a coin, and you'll probably be right.
The one thing I like is Kalen DeBoer is usually pretty good in games like this when people doubt the heck out of him. I mean, take the SEC championship out of it to a degree because we all know Alabama came limping into that, and Georgia's a really good team anyway. But a lot of times when people doubt DeBoer, I mean, Oregon did it 2 times in 1 year. So there we go.
Well, we'll see if he helps Michigan next year when he leaves after he loses this one. So
I'm going to miss him.
Michigan. He'll have to play Oklahoma again.
If he leaves for Michigan, I'm going to become a Birmingham Athletic Club supporter. I can tell you that right now.
Locked on BAC.
All right, plenty of other games to get into when we return, guys. We'll go out to College Station. We'll talk Miami versus Texas A&M. More squad talking more ball next. Back to the squad show in just a second. But first, you ever feel like your money just disappears every month? It happens fast. A few subscriptions here, an impulse buy there, and suddenly the numbers in your bank account don't match the numbers in your head. Rocket Money helps you get clarity, track every dollar, and stay in control of your finances because managing your money shouldn't feel like a second job. Rocket Money does the heavy lifting for you so you can save more and stress less. Choose the ones that going to save you the most money. Rocket Money, they're going to find subscriptions you forgot you were paying for and help you clean them up quickly. You're going to like how Rocket Money automatically builds budgets based on past spending. It keeps you on track without overthinking it. And having the app find good times to save each month keeps you consistent with your financial goals. Go take control of your finances and cancel your unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money. Just go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. SEC squad are along here, and thank you guys for making us your first listen of the day. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Look, you already live your team every day. Now you can take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club and get whichever is your favorite Locked On show with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more. In fact, we're all on the Discord. We're chatting up with you guys right now. $5 a month or $50 for the year. Just go to the link in the show notes to learn more about the Locked On Everydayer Club. All right, let's jump back into it, guys. We've got at 11 a.m. Central, it will be number 10 Miami at number 7 Texas A&M. I feel like we haven't talked enough about this game, but Aggies coming off their first loss of the season to Texas. They had to sit idle while Bama and Georgia were playing the SEC championship. Feels like we're going to get to me at least, a very hungry Aggies team coming out Saturday morning against Miami. What say you guys?
Yeah, I think so, but I just don't know. I don't know what this team is because they played some good teams early in the season. Well, they played Notre Dame. I don't know how good they are. And they beat them by 1. And then they played Texas, which we saw how up and down Texas could be. They survived Kentucky, survived Mississippi State. And when they played Texas, it didn't look very good. So I want to be rah-rah SEC and believe that the Aggies are not going to do the thing the Aggies always do, which is disappoint and provide a letdown. Miami listen, they're a really good defense too, and they've got some really good players on that side of the ball, but there's still Carson Beck. So this is another one of those games where I have no idea because I don't trust either of these teams or either of these coaches in a big-time game.
I think this is about which team screws up less.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of these teams is going to take the game by the horns. I really believe that whichever team can handle this pressure. Look, I just looked it up. You know how many times A&M's won 11 games since the year 2000? This year and 2012. I mean, wow. That's a lot to handle. Now, obviously, Indiana did it to some regard last year. Of course, they went out in the first round of the playoffs, but they were able to bounce back this year, and, of course, they're the #1 seed. But this year, A&M, they've just been on top of the world. There were some people, including me, who thought, hey, maybe they should be ranked #1. And then they go into Texas, a team that we know has plenty of flaws, and they get routed. right? And I just want to see how they come back after that game, because that was their toughest game of the year, and it really wasn't super competitive. So I'm wondering if they're going to be able to take that and transform it, or if that was really a downer for their psyche. So let's see. I'm picking A&M to win because I am going to be an SEC guy. Because the other side of this is, how many times has Miami been super successful since, I don't know, let's call it 01. That 01 team was pretty dog salty. But they have not been able to handle success very well either. So again, I think whoever screws up the least wins the game.
Yeah, the funniest part of this whole situation is Miami in the same time frame has been to Kyle Field twice, and Georgia has still never gone there while Texas A&M has been in the conference. It's absolutely nuts that Carson Beck is going to go in. Now, it is funny that I see on Twitter is like, oh, he's going into Kyle Field. It's going to be hard. Well, he did play in the SEC, and he played games in Knoxville and stuff like that. He's seen crazy atmospheres. I do not trust him in a big game, though. But I don't trust Texas A&M necessarily either. I mean, this is one of those games that's just going to be fun to watch because it literally can go any direction. You have no idea going into this football game how it's going to go.
Let me just add 2 stats real quick. We talk about, slowing down the run. A&M did get Lavian Moss back this week to practice. Mm-hmm. So that's going to help with Ruben Owens and Amari Daniels in that rush attack. But secretly, we know Oklahoma's 5th in the country in stopping the run. Miami's like 7th or 8th. They're top 10 as well. So they're really good at that. And then the other part, I remember right when we said, Carson Beck in a big game, he's going to throw the ball, turn the ball over a lot of interceptions. A&M, 3 interceptions all year. It's not something they do. They don't pick the ball off a lot. So take it, Jay.
Yeah, I was going to say, to that point, Miami's really good at stopping the run. Getting Moss back for A&M is a big deal, but Miami's defense, the defensive line is good. And Ruben Bain is a monster. Like, he's what, top 5 in the NFL draft projected right now, just because of how talented he is. So he's going to cause some problems for Marcel Reed. Now, I'm going to have to be an SEC guy as well, because in 1985 to 1987, Oklahoma went 33-3. Their 3 losses were to Miami every year. So in my heart of heart, I hate those people. So I'm going to have to hate them because they ruined, these win streak opportunities because they just had to be in the way. So with that being said, give me A&M to hopefully not piss me off by losing this game. But it should be, I think it's going to be more of a shootout. It feels like this is going to be similar to A&M versus Notre Dame. I feel like it's going to be in the 40s for both. Both defenses are supposed to be good, but it doesn't feel like either defense is going to be able to do much with the other side. So I think it's going to be one of those where the score's going to be run up, and it'll be like a late field goal to win the game. It's going to be weird that it's going to be that way, but I do feel like it's going to be like in the 30s or 40s for both teams.
I think a lot of people have forgotten these 2 teams played in 22 and 23 too, because those games were somewhat unremarkable. I know Miami won the one in Coral Gables, maybe something like 50-30 or something. But the one in College Station, I don't even think Miami broke 10 points. So those games, they have at least a little familiarity with each other. Although with the transfer portal, nobody's probably seen anybody on either sideline, including their own locker room.
Well, Amari Daniels, I think, played in the one 2 years ago. But, I was looking at quarterbacks, and it was Connor Wegman and Tyler Van Dyke. And, Devon A-Chain's playing. So, it was, it's a lot of guys that are no longer on the roster.
Ruben Bain would have been on there, though.
Yeah, Jimbo Fisher was coaching at that point against Mario Cristobal in that year, which is crazy. Mario was actually there.
So,
listen, A&M is going to have a good roster. They have a star-studded roster. I just don't know about them. But then again, you look at Miami and what are their losses? SMU and Louisville.
Yeah.
So it's not like
it's Mario Cristobal. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I think that's probably why I'd end up leaning Aggie in this one. Although I wouldn't ever bet anything on it because I just don't feel that comfortable.
You know what the difference is going to be, John? The 12th man.
There we go.
Oh man,
roasted.
I'll
say this. I think Texas A&M is going to win. But if Miami does win, I think they have a better shot of the two of winning it all. Meaning, if A&M does win, I still don't think they can win the national championship. If Miami wins, I think they might be able to win the national championship. Now, I'm not going to pick them to, but I think they got the horses to do it.
I think they do too. They have the roster for it. They just gotta click on all cylinders. That's always been their problem, is they don't always click on all cylinders in games when they need to click on all cylinders. So we have to see if that actually happens this time. If Mario Cristobal calls a timeout like he's supposed to, then we may be in good shape.
How did we start this season?
Point in time during
we talked
the playoffs.
about for Texas A&M, it was going to come down to Marcel Reed, and yet here we are again. This game is going to come down to Marcel Reed. How well he plays in this game determines Aggie's future.
It could also come down to Mario Cristobal handling 4-minute offense. I mean, that legitimately could be something this comes down to.
We will see. So clean sweep. We're all picking A&M in this one.
I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess.
Go with the home team.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have to, huh?
Well,
Not fired up about it.
Yeah.
Neither.
it's a little conference pride because you know what we don't want to hear is the Danny Cannells on Monday
God.
coming back
Oh,
and going,
God.
oh,
Yes,
the overrated
yes.
SEC, they got 5 teams in, they didn't deserve it. So please go represent A&M. Please.
Yeah.
win.
Well, he's gonna say that because of the Oklahoma-Alabama game, as if that like makes any sense to even say it about that game. But
Right.
whatever. It's Danny Cannell.
Even if it's a close win for A&M, he's going to be like, oh, A&M was overrated. Should have been in the top 10.
When we return, Steven's been quiet. We're going to get to his game. It is Ole Miss
Yes.
taking on the Tulane Green Wave. Squad talking more ball next. Hey guys, the holiday always shows up faster than we expected. If you're still putting together gifts, last minute decor, or getting your home ready for guests, Wayfair has you covered. Whether you need a quick room refresh, new bedding, or those final season touches, Wayfair makes it easy to get what you need fast. Wayfair truly is your one-stop shop for everything home, with decor, furniture, kitchen essentials, and gifts for every style and every budget, all delivered quickly and easily. Their selection is huge: bedding, decor, kitchen gear, kids' room updates. You will find everything in one place. It is so easy to shop by style. It helps you pick pieces that actually fit your home instead of guessing. Wayfair items you order will instantly refresh your space without a big project. Get last-minute hosting essentials, gifts for all your loved ones, and decor to celebrate the holidays for way less. Wayfair.com. Head there now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. All right, guys, the fourth SEC team in action this weekend. It is the Ole Miss Rebels without Lane Kiffin. The Pete Golding era getting underway in the college football playoff. Saturday, 2:30 Central. Number 11 Tulane at number 6 Ole Miss. Stephen, I know the Rebs are heavy favorites, but what's the vibe been in life post Lane Kiffin?
Immaculate right now. It's amazing. They painted the field to where you got to see the college football playoff first round painting that they do on that, and they showed Vaught Hemingway Stadium. Have to admit, when I saw that, I got emotional. See, for just a second thinking about that. It's like it's finally here. This is the biggest football game in the history of the state of Mississippi. And everybody's going to say, what? Mississippi doesn't have bowl games. They don't have professional sports. The biggest game before this was likely an Egg Bowl at some point. So this is a really big deal, and the energy level has been off of the charts over the course of this week. Now, the question is going to be, Ole Miss has played like one game in 5 weeks because of this layoff. So there could be a little bit of rust that has to get knocked off. But they have a better team on the offensive line and the defensive line than Tulane. And Tulane currently is in south of 100 in passing yards allowed. That's probably not a good formula to be consistent in this football game. So I kind of think that 17.5 line is pretty close to where it's going to be.
They both essentially have interim coaches too, because John Summerall isn't going to be there anymore. And he's already tweeting out weird things, looking like Two-Face from Batman, half Florida, half Tulane. How much, all I can keep thinking when people keep saying Tulane and Ole Miss and JMU and Oregon, how much better would the playoffs be if they were truly the way it should be and Notre Dame were coming into Ole Miss? Oh my God, if you think this is the biggest game in Mississippi history, this would be, you wouldn't be able to top Notre Dame coming in there. That'd be amazing. And that's how it should be. But instead, like I said, we've got to do the make-a-wish thing, and we've got to let teams that don't play in the same league always get into the playoffs for some reason. I know Joe Klatt took a lot of heat this week because he said the NCAA tournament is really, I can't remember what he said verbatim, but he's basically saying
nobody cares about the Cinderellas.
He doesn't like it. I'm going to tell you something. He's wrong. The NCAA tournament is always fun. I've always said that it's entertaining, but I do think he's right. It's not necessarily the best way to find out who the real best teams are. And see, football isn't like that. So
you can't compare the two, right?
And kind of get away with it. You can't do that in football. We need to quit pretending like you can have JMU come in and win this thing, or Tulane. They can't come close. So let's let the teams that really deserve it in there. That's how little of a chance I think Tulane has. I'm spending most of my time talking about why they shouldn't be in there. And again, I'm not trying to tick off any Tulane fans, but somebody tell me where I'm wrong. If BYU were at Oregon and Notre Dame were at Ole Miss, along with Bama, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M, Miami, holy cow, that is appointment television. And I don't even care that the NFL has 2 games.
Yeah, I think we would have outdone them 100% with that. And you can't pretend that you're going to be able to find an actual national champion when you have 130-something teams, and these teams can't play multiple times in a week. That's why basketball is so much different. I hate that Klatt made that comparison, because James Madison made it to a Final Four, and we were having fun watching them upset teams that year. Now,
George Mason, I think you mean.
Yeah, George Mason. I'm sorry, George Mason. Yes, correct. My bad. That's on me. Again, so you don't even remember it as much, but you do remember there was a massive Cinderella story that went through there. But I digress. I mean, heck, watching Steph Curry do that at Dayton, and he made a big run. You have those moments, but you can't have that in football because you only get 1 game a week. Physically, you can't play more games. But outside of the fact that Tulane, we don't feel like Tulane should be there. I mean, they've already played Ole Miss, and we saw how that went the first time. So they get a rematch for it to be the exact same way. Luckily, I am 100% rooting for the Hottie Toddy. I can now root for the Powder Blue now that Lane Kiffin is gone. That is no shade to the fans there. It's really, truly, I just don't like Lane Kiffin. I've never liked him, and I've always been anti him, especially after the Tennessee debacle. So because of that, now I can root for Hottie Toddy because I love that powder blue. I think it's beautiful. Now, Tulane's got that powder blue.
What are they going to wear, Steven? What are they going to wear?
Classic navy blues, navy blue helmet, navy blue jersey, gray pants.
Oh,
saving the powder blue for New Orleans. I like it.
They will not wear the powder blue jerseys unless they don't have the red numbers. There's too much lane stink on the powder blue for the playoff run. Next year it might come back. But the way they're kind of going to get back to what they were as far as uniform goes, because they've always had a great strip.
Let me give a fighting chance to Tulane here, just from a perspective of, we know Ole Miss is the 3rd best offense this year in terms of yards per game and all that. Do you know who's number 1? North Texas.
North Texas, yeah.
That's who Tulane just played in their, the AAC title game. Held them to 400 yards, but 4 of 12 on 3rd down and forced 5 turnovers. Tulane didn't turn the ball over. I'm just saying, if there's numbers like that, then they have a fighting chance. If they force Ole Miss to not convert 3rd downs, turn the ball over a ton, that's their chance.
Yeah, that's just bad.
That's really Richard's fantastic force stretching right there. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Hey, I will say this: if it's in the 4th quarter and it's a 1-score game, let's say it's 24-19, Ole Miss is going to get tight. That stadium is going to get tight. That is Tulane's path. Is just go slow and keep it close, kind of like the Kentucky game of 2024. That is the path for Tulane.
What about the Tulane game 2 years ago, Stephen? Remember, that was tight down to the 4th quarter.
Yeah, yes. If that happens, that's exactly what would need to happen. The difference is that happened in Ullman Stadium in New Orleans, as opposed
Tulane had a better quarterback.
Yeah, and Darian mentioned at that point. Now, I'd say for Tulane, the only path I really see, and you mentioned it, Gordy, with the way they played against North Texas, is if there's a little bit of a delay with Ole Miss because of the whole coaching shift, right? The new coaches, some coaches coming back after basically leaving, new head coach, new voice. But I don't expect these players to really miss that much of a beat because there's so much continuity that goes there. But we have seen in situations where continuity did not start off strong. It took some time for some weird reason. We've seen that before in a lot of teams, but I don't expect it. But that is probably the path, is that they're hoping that. Now, Summerall's leaving too, and most of his stats about to bounce as well. So that's when things get a little weird. But Retzlaff, he's played in the Big 12. You know, he played at BYU, and he was a fun watch. I remember when OU played them and went out to BYU when he was a true freshman, he was balling out. He's a fun player to watch. He's got a lot of moxie to him. He's got a lot of heart, and he plays really hard. The question's going to be can their defense do something to slow down Trinidad Chambliss, who has not really turned the ball over, who's been fantastic with managing the ball itself and not giving it away. If they can figure out a way to make him make mistakes, sure. I don't see it, though. I just don't see that part of the path happening.
One thing that's interesting in this game is they played Ole Miss before Kewan Lacey became Kewan Lacey.
Yeah, that's true.
And this offensive line has improved so much over the last 3 months. Ole Miss and Tulane played 3 months to the day from the next time they're going to play. So both teams are completely different, but I think Ole Miss's running game, they hit 200 yards, something like that. I don't know if Tulane's going to be able to match that. Ole Miss has the advantage on the offensive and defensive line, and that is just not a recipe to be overcome.
So just to recap, guys, we're all taking Ole Miss to win this one, right?
Let me add one little caveat here. First of all, it just dawned on me that should Ole Miss win, they play in the Sugar Bowl against Georgia, right? Isn't that right? Back in Louisiana, where Lane Kiffin went. So that means some of the coaches that are going to end up at LSU and some of the players that may end up at LSU, they can save so much on travel costs if they just win this game, go to New Orleans, and it's just a short bus ride to Baton Rouge.
It's like 50 miles up the road.
It is. Roughly.
By the way, if Ole Miss beats Tulane, there will be 45,000 Ole Miss fans in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
Please, I want them to. I want you to. You better do that.
Be full.
That's what will be fascinating. And then how does round 2 of Georgia versus Ole Miss go? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But to recap our picks, guys, we're all taking Ole Miss to beat Tulane, right? We all took Texas A&M to beat Miami. And then Luke, the lone Bama representative, the rest of us taking Oklahoma. Those are our picks for this weekend. We'll see how it unfolds. And Stephen, one more crazy wrinkle into the LSU Ole Miss thing. The swapping of running backs coaches. It sounds like Kevin Smith is going to leave Ole Miss to go be the running backs coach at LSU. Well, Frank Wilson, the running backs coach at LSU, is going to leave for Ole Miss, but he's the interim coach at LSU right now. He's coaching LSU in the Texas Bowl against Houston, and the minute that game ends, he's off to Oxford. So it's just a very strange dynamic.
It's crazy. Those two programs are becoming so incestuous right now. It's ridiculous because Austin Thomas has started in Oxford. He was the general manager at LSU. And Kelvin Bolton, who was the player personnel guy in Baton Rouge, originally at Ole Miss, he's come back to Ole Miss. So it's going to be September 19th. Just book game day right now.
That's why the SEC is the best, though. I've always said we've got personality. Like the hate is so ingrained. Like Minnesota may play Wisconsin for the old wooden bookcase or whatever. Nobody knows. Nobody's worried about it. I mean, all bookcases just about are wooden, I guess. I don't know, but that's how nobody cares. Like when you talk about what Ole Miss and LSU are doing right now, you talk about the Iron Bowl. I mean, there's nobody at Alabama likes Auburn and vice versa. I mean, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Texas. I mean, we got them everywhere. It is a beautiful thing. And it's funny how the hatred brings us together. It sort of separates us sometimes, of course, when we're playing each other, but it does bring the league together. And I think that's what people like Danny Cannell will never, ever understand, because nobody, no matter how hard you try, can care about Virginia versus Wake Forest.
Well, the Big 12 may have the WWE deal, but the SEC is really professional wrestling.
Oh, yeah. And wait till you ever had a stepdaddy try to buy your love? Wait till that portal opens and Lane's got all that money. Stepdaddy going to be trying to buy love from all those Ole Miss players.
Oh,
it's going to be fascinating.
He luckily for Ole Miss, and this is the real thing, is he's going to try just like he tried before. but Ole Miss is going to have a month with their staff for 2026 already in the building. So Pete Golding's done an amazing job of putting everything together to where Ole Miss has a real fighting chance when the portal opens up.
It's going to be choose your sides. Either you're with the Jedis. I don't know what's the Star Wars comparison.
Well, I think Keywan Lacey is going to end up in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen.
Yeah. The dark side.
You're either
Whatever.
with the Jedi over at Ole Miss and in Oxford in Coruscant, or you're heading to join the Sith.
Yes.
Well,
Lane Kiffin.
Hey,
There
one
you
other
go.
thing. I think Lane has finally gone too far with this LSU Ole Miss stuff and all the stunts that have been pulled. I think he's finally done it. I think karma is going to catch him. It's had a hard time catching up to him. You know, it kind of followed him all over the place, and it seemed to be one step behind sometimes. I think he's finally done it. I think it's going to be one of those situations where in 3 years, he's going to go, man, I probably shouldn't have left there.
Yeah.
What's got a Franchoni to A&M feel about it?
It was like 4:00 this morning, apparently on Tuesday morning. He sent a text message to the Ole Miss beat writer that called him a hoe like that, talking about Trinidad Chambliss, and his answer at a press conference being similar. And is he a hoe? And it's like, good gosh, man, it's 4:00 in the morning. That's way too early for this.
Well, Luke has texted plenty of hoes at 4 a.m. Let's leave it there.
I just don't ever get a text back. That's the problem. Hey, look, I figure if you keep throwing enough stuff against the wall, somebody's going to show up.
Shoot or shoot.
We will leave it there, guys. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. Thanks for tuning in. And, hey, make sure you follow and subscribe to your favorite Locked On show to get all the latest episodes. If you need a last-minute holiday gift or someone keeps asking you what you want, make it easy. Ask for the Everydayer Club. Ad-free episodes of this show, all of our shows, exclusive Discord server access, and more. Subscriptions can be gifted through that link in our show notes. For those of you on video, we send you the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On College Football. For Jay Smith, Stephen Willis, Luke Robinson, John Williams, I'm Chris Gordy. This has been our Locked On SEC Squad.
Hotty toddy.